Hello, and thanks for listening to PXP Podcast. It's a show about leadership, self-development, personal growth, and accountability. I'm your host, Jayme Yarroch. Now, you can catch our podcast on almost any platform or directly from our website at pxppodcast.com. To hear it hot off the press, check out our host on the Podbean app. If you have questions or want to hear a particular topic discussed, or even want to be a guest on the show, connect with me on social and send me a message. Now, are you ready to kick off today's episode? All right, here we go. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back. Welcome to PXP. Hey there, folks. It has been a minute since I dropped an episode, but I think that you would probably agree with me in that life has been pretty wild this year. It's been pretty crazy. I've got a new title to add to my name, by the way, and no, I didn't go back to school, didn't get any new certifications. I am now a grandpa, and I'll explain to you why I'm going with the classic grandpa name instead of a fancy nickname in a little bit, but I wanted to share that with you. We'll talk more about that here in just a bit. But, I was talking to my brother a couple days ago, and we were just talking about how we couldn't believe how quickly Christmas came around the corner. It feels like last month it was St. Patrick's Day. It just feels like it was just here, like the springtime was just here. And then, we stopped by Easter for just a second. The summer was an absolute blur. I have no idea what happened over the course of the summer. We jumped on the Thanksgiving day on the calendar for just a second, and then all of a sudden, boom, here we are. Christmas comes in 2 days. And then it's 2024, and it feels like, we're just getting there at light speed. It feels like this whole year was just a blur. My brother made a profound point as we were talking. He said, it seems like time flies the older we get. The older we get, the faster it just seems like it slips away from us. And that got me thinking, why is that? I mean, when we were younger, time didn't fly like this. It didn't feel like it did. I mean, it felt like, at the beginning of the year, it felt like when you were a child, you felt like, well, Christmas will never get here. Now it feels like you can't even put the brakes on. During summer vacation when we were kids, what did we do? We go, you get up in the morning, you eat breakfast, and you go play. And you're just living for the moment. Like, what can we do today to make today a great day? You weren't worried about tomorrow. You weren't thinking about yesterday. Like, what can we do today to make today great? I mean, that was our focus, and I get it. Look, we didn't have obligations and bills and, we didn't have jobs. And I get all that. But it was the mindset, when we were young, we lived for the moment. And we just seized opportunities with no hesitation whatsoever. We just lived. But as the years go by, we start worrying about everything. We worry about today, and we worry about tomorrow, and we worry about what the future looks like. And we think of the mistakes we've made in the past. Like we just worry about everything, or we think about everything, and that's what occupies our mind. We make excuses for not living in the now. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, we procrastinate. We kick that can down the road and we say, I'll do that tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. I'm going to get to that next month. I'm going to start that. Or, I got to just get some things done. I got to get some things out of my way. I got to get my plate cleared off, and then I'm going to do X, Y, Z. But you know what? 95 times out of 100, guess what? Tomorrow comes. Next month comes. And we kick that can down the road again. And we keep kicking the can down the road until we can't kick the can down the road. There's no sense of urgency. There's no sense of regret until it's too late. We wake up one day and someone that we care about, someone that we wanted to go do things with, Someone that we said, I will go do this with so-and-so tomorrow, and that person's gone. Or an opportunity that we ignored. You know, I have this curse of, I come up with a million ideas of what I think are great, opportunities, great business ideas, great whatevers. And I don't act on the vast majority of those, and probably for good reason sometimes. But we make excuses, and then tomorrow comes, we kick the can down the road. There's no sense of urgency. There's no sense of regret until it's too late. And that opportunity that we ignored is now gone. It's vanished. Or maybe some health concern or health problem prevents us from doing what we always said we would do one day. What is that thing that you keep kicking down the road? What is that can that you keep kicking down the road? What is the thing that you keep postponing? What does that look like to you? I recently saw a friend of ours, and for years and years and years and years, she has always said, I want to live at the beach. I want to move to the beach. I want to live at the beach. One day I'm going to live at the beach. Well, a week or two ago, she announced, I'm moving to the beach. And hats off, kudos to her. She is living for the moment. She's seizing the opportunity. You know what I'm talking about? We need to change that, my friends. We need to live for today. We need to seize the opportunities that are presented to us and make the most of every single moment that we're given. Life is short, and time is a thief. And listen to me, time waits for no one. It doesn't matter what your title is. It doesn't matter how many dollars you got in the bank. Doesn't matter how big a house you live in. Doesn't matter what you drive. We all got the same 24 hours in a day. And it's all about, what do we do with those 24 hours? Are you doing what you're passionate about? Are you doing what you love? Do you wake up in the morning and are fired up about what you get to do that day? Or do you wake up in the morning and you're thinking, all right, I just got to get through today, and I got to get through tomorrow, and I got to get through, and then one day I'm going to chase my passion. But listen to me, here's the thing, one day may not come. That day may never arrive. We are not promised tomorrow. Now, before we dive, yes, this was just the introduction, by the way. Before we dive into the heart of this episode, let me tell you. Let's talk a little bit more about my big news. My grandson, his name is Oliver, and of course, I'm biased, but he is the most handsome little fella on earth. He's like a little old man. He looks so groany, and I mean, he's a little over a month old, but he looks so groany. He's phenomenal. And like I said earlier, I'm sticking with the good old grandpa. My grandpa, that's what I called him. He was grandpa to me. My dad was grandpa to my kids. And I think I just like it. It's tradition. It's old school. No judgment on those of you that want to be called, whatever, pawpaw and peepaw and pops and whatever you want to be called. That's cool. Hey, to each their own. I'm just going old school. I'm going with grandpa. And, it's like tradition. So I'm only going to be 50 next year. So I'm just going to own it. Good stuff, right? And as far as sports announcing goes, I did a lot of announcing this fall. Had the chance to get on board with Auburn University as one of their announcers. And so I am the official voice of Auburn softball, as well as I've had the pleasure to do some soccer and some diving events. In fact, just last week, I was able to do a 4-day diving invitational at Auburn University at their aquatic center. Teams from Kentucky, from Illinois, from Mizzou, and of course from Auburn were there. Incredible experience. First time I've done a diving event, but just a really incredible experience. Some of the things that stood out to me in the event, the Auburn staff, that I worked with directly, they were phenomenal. Reagan and Sarah and Thomas, they were all fantastic. The head diving coach, John Fox, incredible. He was so welcoming. The whole organization, the whole team, was incredibly welcoming. The divers were incredible. It was really the first time that I've been up close and personal at a diving meet like that. You watch it on TV, you watch the Olympics or whatever, and it's always very cool. But to be right there, on the pool deck, right next to the water, it was just such an incredible experience. There's something calming, there's something so peaceful about being in the aquatic center. Water has just such a calming effect, and the camaraderie between the divers and that whole community, and the coaches would help each other and the divers would cheer each other on, and they were competitors. Don't get me wrong. Like when they're on the board or on the platform, like they are fiercely competitive. But when they're, not on the platform or not on the springboard, they're just cheering each other on. And it was just such a fun event. I could just talk for days about it, but it was just an incredible time. It lasted 4 days, and I really, really had a good time. And just really excited to be able to do that with Auburn University. All right, let's get down to today's episode, folks. Today is something that really hits close to home for me, and we're talking about seizing the moment. I've been doing some soul searching lately, and I want so badly to be right in the center of what I call my passion zone. That's the place where you feel like I'm doing exactly what I was created to do. And I just have this belief that we were all created to do a particular thing or set of things, and if we don't do them, they may not get done. I just think that we're all gifted and equipped to be able to do, exactly a certain thing that we're here on earth to do. And I really want to be in the center of that passion zone. We read a book at work. It was called Good to Great. We have a little book club that we participate in our office, and it was called Good to Great. And inside that, Jim Collins writes about this hedgehog concept, and he writes it in general about businesses and how you can find out exactly what you're supposed to be doing, essentially as a business, and where you're supposed to be, but you can modify that into your personal hedgehog concept, and it's 3 circles that overlap, and you can I'll put it in the show notes, some information about it, but you can Google hedgehog concept or personal hedgehog concept, and you can find a lot of information about it, or go get the book. Jim Collins, Good to Great is what it's called. I highly recommend it. A great book. Get the audio if you like listening to it. It's a great book. So, but the 3 circles that intersect, number 1 is, what are you deeply passionate about? What is it that you love to do and that absolutely reflects your values? That's 1 circle. And then the second circle is called, what are you, on a personal hedgehog concept now, what are you genetically encoded for? And this is that, what I was talking about, what you're gifted to do, what you're meant to do, what you're talented to do. It's your genetic talent or your genetic gift. It's what God gave you to be able to do something amazing. You feel like you were made to do it. It fits the way you were constructed. It fits into your psychology. It fits into your capabilities. That's the second circle. And then the third circle, what are you engaged in that is of social or economic value, right? So basically, how can you earn a living? What funds your goals, your objectives? And what things are you trying to get done? If money's not the object, what is the goal? What is your social goal that you're trying to accomplish? For most of us, it's how do we make a living? But those 3 circles, and if you kind of overlay them over each other, and if you look it up, you'll be able to tell what I'm talking about. But where those 3 circles overlap, all 3 of them, that is the hedgehog concept. And if you can figure out what that thing is, what is it that you're deeply passionate about? What is it that you're gifted at? And what is it that you can do that'll pay the bills? Figure out what that is. And that's what I call your passion zone. And you get right in the middle of that thing. And now, you're doing what you were meant to do. You're doing what you were gifted to do. And so I so badly want to be in that. I want to be in my hedgehog space, and I've just come to realize that time is a precious, precious commodity. And it's a currency that, listen, we can't earn any more of. And it doesn't wait for anyone. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. And what you do with it is what matters. We have these grand plans. We have these dreams and we have these goals. And we say, one day I'll do this. One day I'm going to travel there. One day I'm going to move to XYZ. One day I'll pursue my passion. One day I'm going to be a fill in the blank. But here's the kicker. One day might never come. That one day, it may never get here because you procrastinated. You put it on the back burner. You kicked the can down the road. And it never arrives. I talked a little bit about, in the intro, about when we were kids. We would get up, eat breakfast, and it was like, what are we going to do today? And you go find something fun to do. And again, let me acknowledge it again. We can't just go find something fun to do that doesn't fit into our hedgehog, because we still got to pay the bills, right? But who says you can't pay the bills, do what you're gifted at, and have fun all at the same time? That's what that's all about. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm getting at today, is seizing the moment. Being in the middle of where you're supposed to be without a shadow of a doubt. Doing that thing that you were created to do. As we get older, it's like life throws us curveballs, doesn't it? We get entangled in a web of responsibilities and worries and endless to-do lists. Do y'all have to-do lists like I do? Do y'all have a whole laundry list of things that you have to do? We have a lady in our team named Rachel, and she lives off of to-do lists. And I'm not busting on her to-do list. Rachel, I'm not busting on your list, because they work for her. And in turn, they also help me stay on task to a certain point too. But sometimes we can get so entangled in our to-do lists that we forget to live for today, right? We have a to-do list of what we're going to do tomorrow and the next day and next week and next month and next year. And we forget about living for the moment. We start putting off our dreams and our passions and our desires. We put those off until tomorrow. But guess what, folks? Tomorrow's not guaranteed. We need to remember that life is happening right now, in this very moment. And if we keep procrastinating, we risk missing out on the very best parts of life. The best part of life might be today, because we don't know what tomorrow brings. I want you to think about a time when you decided to step outside your comfort zone. You decided to take a chance. You decided to seize an opportunity. Maybe it wasn't even planned. It was put before you, and you're like, you thought, this is going to be crazy if I do this. This is not even a good common sense thing to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. Those are the moments that make life truly special. Those are the moments that become the stories that you tell years to come. You understand what I'm saying? You don't tell stories about to-do lists. You don't tell stories about procrastination. You don't tell stories about things you wished you would have done. What do you tell stories about? You tell stories about amazing experiences, and you tell stories about living life, and you tell stories about living for today, and you tell stories about, adventures that you took, or dreams that you had and you accomplished or you attained, or a place that you always wanted to go to and you finally traveled there, right? And I could go on and on and on, but you get it. Like, you don't tell stories about procrastination. We don't tell our kids and our grandkids about something that we wished we would have done. I'm not going to tell Oliver about a time I procrastinated. It doesn't make any sense, right? But I might tell him about the fun times that I have when I'm announcing sporting events at Auburn University. right? You got to live for the moment. Seize the opportunity. Don't get so caught up in the drudgery of life. And I'm not saying disregard your responsibilities. Don't put words in my mouth or take me out of context. We got things we got to handle. But I'm also saying too many times we use those things that we got to handle as an excuse or a crutch to not chase our dreams, to not be in the middle of our passion zone, to not find our hedgehog. So I urge you, my friends, live for today. Don't wait for the perfect moment because it may never arrive. Seize the opportunities that are right in front of you. Embrace life's adventures, big or small, no matter what they look like. Commit to yourself that you are not going to waste another day of your life. Remember, time is a thief, but it doesn't have to be the enemy. It can also be your greatest ally if you choose to make the most of it. So start today, this very moment. Start living for today. Seize the opportunity. Well, as I wrap up this episode, folks, I want to thank you for joining me on this heart-to-heart journey today. This probably sounded a little different than maybe some of my other episodes, but I really was burdened to share this with you. I've been doing a lot of soul searching, and I want to seize the opportunities before me. I hope it resonated with you, and I hope it inspires you to make the most of every day. So before I sign off today, remember, you can call me Jayme, you can call me Jayme Yarroch, you can call me Jammin' Jayme, but you can also call me Grandpa. I wouldn't have it any other way. Listen, if you like today's podcast, won't you share it with your 5 closest friends? Chances are, if you liked it, they're going to like it too. But most of all, I hope that something that was said today helped you to become a better version of yourself. Friends, I hope you have an amazing day.